Well, good day. This is Kelly Epperson with radio stations WPAQ and WSYD, and I have a very special guest with me today, and I'm delighted to be able to talk to her. She is the co-chair of Save Jones School Committee. Her name is Adriene Bell. She's been in this area since 1995. Adriene, it's so good to hear your voice and to have you on today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us now the Save Jones School. Save Jones School. What is going on now at this point? Kind of bring us up to speed and tell me, maybe start off by telling me what has happened, what's transpired, what caused there to be a Save Jones committee.
Okay, let me give you the backstory. In the fall or the last part of the winter, the last part of the summer last year, 2021, the sign, for sale sign went up in front of the L.H. Jones Resource Center, which we're calling Jones School, the old Jones School. And when the sign went up, everybody was perplexed because this school had just been designated as a National Historic Place. And so we were getting ready to celebrate, the national attention, and the school went up for sale. So everyone was just wondering what was going on. We were shocked, aghast. It was just amazing. Everybody was talking in the community about, why is this happening? What's going on? Does anybody know anything? And, of course, no one did. And so we went to the county commissioners meeting back in November and voiced our concern about what was going on, our displeasure that the building was going to be sold. So they listened to us. We were in the open forum, so they couldn't respond. And then the group at that point had not been formed. So we all went back to our communities and talked about it. Lasheen Lowe, who is in charge of the African American Historical and Genealogy Society, she was really upset. And so she, at every meeting, she would bring it up, and we talk about it. And then she decided, and we all decided, that she would contact some of the other primarily minority groups in the area to see whether or not they had concerns too. And, of course, they did have concerns. But at that time, everybody was more concerned about the cost of the building and whether or not anybody could raise that much money to purchase it. Of course, initially that just wasn't an option. And so we went back a couple more times to the commissioners' meeting, continuing to voice our opinion. And then on December 30th, as a matter of fact, because the Christmas holidays and Thanksgiving, everything fell into there, we got together and Lasheen called a meeting of everybody who may be concerned. And there was 24 people who showed up to the meeting. And they were expressing there were other people that wanted to come, but they weren't able to be there and that kind of stuff. So anyway, those 24 people constituted the first Save Jones School Committee. Okay. And our two co-chairs were appointed at that time. It was Jackie Snow, who is an alumni of Jones School, and myself. And so that was the beginning. So we went to the next commissioners meeting, again voicing our opinion, trying to find out what we could do to either stop the sale or have some kind of input as to what was going to be going on. And in the meantime, we found out that they were planning to gut the inside of the building and put low-income housing, they called affordable housing, into the building. And so that just raised everybody's temper even more because that school is precious to the community. Then in January, mid-January, we got a notice from the county manager, and he told us that there was an opportunity for us to put a proposal in for the school. And so that's what we worked on. It had to be in by February the 15th, so we had like 3 weeks. So that was a steep learning curve for us. We had to do a lot of research and pull out, people we didn't know existed from all parts of the state, nationally, to try to get the information that we needed in order to give a proposal that would be seen by the commissioners and treated as a serious proposal. So we worked day and night on the proposal. But we were able to have it completed by the 15th. We turned it in, and the commissioners told us that they had a retreat the next week, that they were going to be discussing the school. And so they invited us to the retreat. And so we were able to make a presentation at the retreat of our proposal. I think it was received favorably. I don't know. We haven't heard anything back from that particular portion of it. But we were amazed that the next day, I don't know what transpired, but next day the for sale sign was taken down at Jones School. So we are hopeful that something good is happening, but we certainly don't know.
You do feel the hard work that you have put in, you and others have put into this, is paying off.
Well, not sure.
Okay.
Not sure because we're not the ones making the choice.
Right.
But they certainly are aware. The awareness to us is important. I'm not sure if they thought they were just selling a building, but they're not selling a building. They're selling what to many people around here is their home. This is the place that they went to every day. This is the place that they put their blood, sweat, and tears in. This is the place that they formed the bricks and built the buildings there. And this is the place where they grew up from kindergarten to 12th grade. This is where they made their lifelong friends. It's not just a building to the residents of Mount Airy and Surrey County. And as a matter of fact, the kids that went there came from Stokes County, Surrey County, Yadkin County, from Patrick County, Virginia. There was no other colored, quote-unquote, black high school in the area. And so all these kids had to travel a great distance to get to the school. Some of the kids, the parents sacrificed and they stayed with people in the area, and other ones were bused every day, 40 miles round trip.
Wow.
To get to school because there was no other way for them to get an education. And so they put, anytime something was needed at the school, parents, the children, the teachers, everyone put their money into it to keep that school viable. And it, of course, closed in 66. The school was around from 1933 to 1966 as a black high school. It closed because of desegregation.
Okay. So this was, like you said, this was a common ground, a common for everybody. The minority group that we're speaking of from Surrey, Stokes, Yadkin, even Patrick County, Virginia, could come together collectively.
Exactly. This was a place that they all learned how to be young men and women. And they went on from that school, and many of them went on to college, went to the military. They went to different places around the world and have become very established and important people in this world. And so they got a good foundation at the school. Teachers at the school, they all had to have an A certificate. And in those days, that meant that was the top certificate you can get as a teacher. So they all had to have an A certificate in order to teach there. And some of them had graduate certificates. It meant that they went on to get master's degree and higher education degrees. And they were teaching at this school to these young people. I mean, if you can imagine back in those days, there was very few opportunities for these very well-educated teachers to teach. They were not teaching in the white schools. So this was a place that they could hone their skills and enlighten, young people. And they were very nurturing. They were like mothers and fathers to these children. And the children reciprocated because they all felt like they were their children. And so it was a place of great learning and a place of great fun, a place of great nurturing. And they learned so much there that I'm just really amazed, because my growing up in other parts of the South, most of the minority schools were inferior, but they were getting a top-notch education, though they had inferior books, like the other schools did, but they had teachers that were able to fill in where the books did not. So they were really well educated there.
Right. I know that Jones High School produced many, many successful young men and women. And I can see what you're telling me. I feel just kind of a tingle in my arms, hair on my arms, just thinking about all these years of being a success, this school, and how many students have come through the halls. And like you said, not only a place of learning, but a place of nurturing. I can see why you and others have a great concern to hold this sacred ground together.
Yes, and it's been remarkable because, of course, initially everyone was concerned about the money, and money is an issue. But once they realized what we were trying to do is trying to make sure that this building is not gutted, that we were trying to preserve what Jones School is really about. If you haven't lived the black experience in America, it's very hard to explain it. And this is the last place in Surrey County, except for the Satterfield House, that exists, that has not been torn down or taken away. Years ago, there was and I'm not maybe saying the wrong name of the street, but I think it was called Needmore Street. I'm not looking at my notes, so I'm not sure, but I think it was Needmore Street. Have you ever heard of Needmore Street?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, Needmore Street was the street that all the black businesses were on.
Okay.
They had hairdressers and barbershops. They had the people who did the shoes for the horses, carriages, where they fixed the carriages. They had restaurants. They had bars. They had boarding houses. They had many things on that street. That street no longer exists. All those businesses were taken. They were taken in the name of progress. And what does exist that was on that street also? Pine State, Haynes Mill Hosiery.
Right.
Runfro was on that street. They were all on that street. Mm-hmm. They still exist. None of the minority businesses came back. So everything that they've had here in Surrey County that represents the accomplishments of black people in this area has totally and almost systematically been erased from the area. And now they want Jones School. It is beyond anything that I could fathom. My head just blew off the top of my head. Just could not understand why do they want that school. But then I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
Yeah. We're speaking, if someone just now is tuning in, we're speaking with the co-chair of Save Jones School Committee, Adriene Bell. She, along with the other chair, Jackie Snow, together they're working to keep Jones School together, to keep from being gutted. And at this point, what can someone do? What can just a common person or business, or who could step up to let's continue this Jones School history and not let it be disposed of? What do you do?
Well, of course, we're fundraising right now. We have a GoFundMe. You can donate directly to the African American Historical and Genealogy Society. We're trying to raise funds. I know we'll need funds if something were to happen that we were able to acquire the building or work with the county to acquire the building. We'll need funds. So of course, we're looking at grants and we're looking at other sources. And if people know of other sources of income that we can pursue, that would be important. But if that's not something in your wheelbarrow, then, of course, people can write letters. They can call the county commissioners. They can send them emails and let them know that this is something that is very important to Surrey County community and Mount Airy. There were a lot of kids that went through that, not just the students of 33 to 66, but later on the Mount Airy City Schools had children over there before they built the new J.J. Jones Elementary School on Riverside. There were many children that went through that school, so there's a lot of people who should have some ownership to it. And if you've ever had a chance to go into that building, a lot of the fixtures that were there from the 66 group is still there, and it's in good shape. And the building itself, yes, it has weathered over the years, and it does need some maintenance, but by and large, the school has held up really, really, really well. But if you're concerned, please let the county commissioners know that Jones School is important to this community, and to take it away would be erasing something very, very valuable to this community that cannot come back. It cannot be replicated. It cannot come back in any different form. This is it.
Right. Once that's done, it's done. We got to stop this. We need to put a halt to this. The GoFundMe page.
It's under Save Jones School and GoFundMe.
Save Jones School, GoFundMe. Yeah. I found it online. I typed in the search, I typed in Save Jones School, and a lot of great news stories came up. The GoFundMe page came up. So I actually was able to get a message to you through the GoFundMe page.
That's amazing. I mean, technology today just is mind-boggling.
It is. And I was one of those students who passed through the Jones School, the original Jones School, and some of the best years of my life, some of the best memories of my life were made there. The playground, the church. What will happen? What about the church building?
The church is not part of the sale.
Okay.
So the church is secure. So is the auditorium. The auditorium is owned by the alumni.
I see.
So that's secure. It's the school building itself.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. You did say the building does need some repair. I think there's a
Yes.
boiler that needs
Right.
repair and some other pretty big issues.
It does need repair, that's for sure. Right now it's holding its own. The boiler, of course, we're just about through the winter, so it's probably good for this year, but probably next year something would have to be done with it.
Now,
there's other maintenance issues too.
Other maintenance issues, correct. Is there a time frame, a time limit that's been set by anyone that to come to some kind of terms or conclusion, raising funds or?
I can't speak for the county commissioners,
Mm-hmm.
but in our proposal, we asked that they give us till July 1st of this year to tell us one way or the other whether or not we're going to be able to acquire the building, and then a 3-year time frame for us to raise the money.
Okay, so you would have more time.
Right.
That's good. That's good. Now, you have a group, is it the African American Historical Society?
Genealogy
And the
Society,
Genealogical
yes.
Society
And
is
this Save Jones Schools falls under the auspices of that group.
Ah, okay.
It was born out of that group.
I see. So the group would kind of hold everything together during the
Right.
time till you get to the point of hopefully getting all this money raised.
Right. Well, we call it AUG, okay, because it's a long name.
Right. Yeah.
African American Historical and Genealogy Society. We call it AUG. They have been around for 28 years. And so they're an established group in the area. And so, yes, they would lift this place up. Until that time, we're hoping that the commissioners can keep it as it is with the current residents that are in the building in order to continue the funding to cover the light bill, whatever other things that are going on over there. So we're hoping that they'll keep it the way it is for 3 years until we can actually get the funds together. And so that's our hope, that's our prayer at this point, that occurs.
Okay. I still think back on this. If you're designated a historical place on the National Register of Historical Places, and how can a for sale sign be put up on property that's been designated this way?
Well, of course, it's the prerogative of the county commissioners. They own the building. They could put a for sale sign at any time.
Okay.
The designation of a historical site affords it tax credit, historic tax credit, and those are very valuable. The percentage of the funds that would be used to build the building could come back to whoever puts the money up. Of course, a nonprofit can't get it. That's where we would have issues or problems getting affordable housing in there. Even in our proposal, we put housing on the bottom level, and perhaps building another structure next to it for housing. Even we couldn't, use the tax credits, but the tax credits they would get back, like I think 20% or whatever they put in. So that if they put in $11 million, they'll get 20% of that back from the federal government. So that's why this piece of property is important to them, because someone, and I really couldn't tell you who, but someone would get the tax credit and would, even though there would be, putting something new there inside the building, they would be getting something out of it. So it's all about the money all the time.
That's what it seems to always come to.
Yeah.
Can I read a quote from Sonia Dodd that appeared in the Mount Airy News a few days ago? The quote is, "We all had different churches, organizations to attend, but Jones was our common ground, our safe place. If you were an African American, that is where you came. There's no other site that holds this much historical and cultural value for our community. We were so proud of our school, and we are still proud of our school. This is why it is so hard to wrap our heads around the fact the county wants to sell this property, which will effectively erase our memories. When the school closed after 1966, we cried. The county has no emotional ties to this property. So surely there are other places that can and will satisfy your business needs. There's only one J.J. Jones high. That tugged at my heart.
Yeah, I'm about in tears myself right now.
That was a tremendous quote. I understand it got a good
Exactly.
response, a good
It
reaction
did.
at the
It
meeting.
did. It did. It did. Because she was echoing what everybody has been thinking, but couldn't voice it as eloquently as she did.
So the plan now is let the county commissioners know your feelings,
Yes.
and let's do something about this. Let's put this to action. Put feet to it.
Yes. Please. Please. I mean, I think the only way they're going to understand how we feel is by actually letting them know, and flood them with phone calls and emails and letters. And if you see them on the street, tell them this is important to the community. They're our county commissioners. They are not working in behalf of themselves. They're should be working for the county. And we're all residents. We all pay taxes, and they should listen to us.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Anything in closing, Adrienne, that you want to add that we may not have covered?
Well, I guess the one thing that I'm concerned about is that we're not beyond compromise. Okay, so I don't want anybody to feel that we're just hard nosed about this, but we just cannot bear to have this piece of property destroyed in any manner. And I know they keep telling us, well, we're not tearing it down. I understand that, but the inside of the building is just as important as the outside. These children that went to the school are now aging out, and we're losing them. And so it's up to the next generation for them to come through and make sure that, what goes on at Jones School is something that they'll be proud of. And so that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to make it a show place that the children, the new generation, visitors can come to and see what the school is about. We will hope to still have nonprofits there. We hope to make it a cultural center where we can house the memorabilia and artifacts that were contained within the walls of the building. So we're also be looking from the community to, if they have artifacts that they want us to preserve, we would like to do that. We want to hear people's stories. We want to have the people who went to that school, we want to sit down and interview them and let them tell their stories. And then people later on can come back and listen to those stories and understand what was so important about this building. So we hoped for it to preserve it so that it's here in perpetuity, that it's here for forever.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much. I'm just thinking here personally, I love my Jones School. This is my school too. And so this is something near and dear to me. I wanted to do this ever since I got word of what's been going on. Adrienne Bell, I can't thank you enough for coming on the air with us and talking about this very critical need.
Well, thank you for having us. We truly appreciate it, and are so glad that you went to Jones and you feel that way, because, like I said, it has touched everybody in this community in one way or another, either through the nonprofits that are over there that never went to the school, or the children that went there. Many, many children went through that school.
Absolutely. GoFundMe page. Look for it. The GoFundMe page for Save Jones School. You can go to Google search, do Save Jones School, and you will see the GoFundMe page there. Is there Facebook? Do we have anything that posted or set up on Facebook about this?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We're working on a Facebook page, and we're working on a website.
Oh, good.
And so
good.
that's part of what we're working on right now. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, pretty sure I didn't get to that part, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Jones Alumni, NAACP, and the NUW and other groups in the area are supporting this, and they're helping us along the way. So we're not doing this alone. We have many, many people who are behind us, and so I just want to make sure that they understand that we fully appreciate everything that they're doing to help to Save Jones School.
Well, we'll say our prayers and get to work on this and get some great results out of it.
Thank you, Kelly, for having us. Thank
you. Adrienne Bell, co-chair of Save Jones School Committee. And again, the GoFundMe page, look for that. Let's do something. It doesn't have to be a lot. If you feel like you can't do a whole lot, just whatever. It all counts. It all adds up. So again, Adrienne Bell, thank you so much. Kelly Epperson with WPAQ and WSYD. Have a great day.